So, yeah, what we're covering tonight is mastering the Gherkin syntax in business analysis. And yeah, a quick outline of what we'll be covering. What is the Gherkin? The relationship between the Gherkin and user stories, benefits of the Gherkin, key features of the Gherkin, keyword-driven format of the Gherkin, approaches to writing BDD scenarios using Gherkin, importance of in types of Gherkin, which is imperative and declarative, and examples and closer look. So can I ask a quick question? Who originally I planned a quiz for tonight, to be honest with you, but I don't think we have that much time. But we'll have a few brain teasers after the session. But can I please throw this question to the class? Can somebody who knows? I mean, when you say Gherkin, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Any answers? You can just unmute yourself and speak, please. And please, I want this session to be as interactive as possible. I do not want people to just be sat on the sidelines and saying, "Oh, let me just keep quiet." I need you guys. It's not that. It's just just feel free. It's okay to make the wrong give the wrong answer. It's okay to make the wrong assumptions. That's why you're in the training anyway. If you knew it all, you wouldn't be here, would you? So please, who can just put their hands up and tell me what comes to mind when you hear the word Gherkin?
Given when then.
Sorry?
Given when then. Acceptance criteria.
Acceptance criteria. Okay. Another question, another answer. Any other ideas?
Invest.
Best? Did you say best? Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Invest.
Invest. Okay. All right. So, yeah. Let's just get started. So the Gherkin syntax. Today, what we'll be talking about is the Gherkin syntax. We're talking about the uses, the importance, and its roles. Gherkin syntax is a way of writing user story. There are different types of way of writing user stories, but Gherkin is one of the popular ways of writing user stories, I'll say. It's a language that you use for your acceptance criteria. And what does the acceptance criteria do? It defines your user story. So, fun fact about the Gherkin. A fun fact about the Gherkin is not just a term. It's not just a term related to user stories in software development. It's also a type of cucumber. Who knew that? I mean, in the context of food, the Gherkin refers to a small variety of cucumber that's usually pickled, and they're often used as snacks. So if you think Gherkin is not just software development, it's not just user stories, you are thinking, oh, food as well. So yes, I mean, the Gherkin has dual existence in both the world of software development and corollary world. It's an interesting example of a word having different meanings in different contexts. I'm sure a large number of us here are Nigerians, so we're quite used to words that have different meaning. In my own native language, I have one word can mean 10 different things, depending on your tonation and how you pronounce it. So same as Gherkin here. Let's dig deep into it. What is Gherkin? Gherkin is a plain text. Please, anything I want to emphasize on, please just, I'm hoping that you have your pen and paper. Please just take note on things that I'm emphasizing on as I carry on in this presentation. So Gherkin is a plain text. Remember when Uzo was speaking to you guys earlier, she mentioned something about user stories. Keep it simple. She was going through some user stories and she was saying, oh, this one, so keep it simple. So which is why one of the reasons why, adoption of Gherkin is high. Gherkin is a plain text language with specific structure used to write down scenarios and requirements in a way that is easily understood by non-technical stakeholders. Remember, when we're doing user stories, we're talking about simplicity, easily no ambiguity when you're writing because remember, when you're writing user stories, you're not the only one. You're not the only consumer of that user stories. There are different people. You want to be able to pick when I'm writing a report or I'm writing anything whatsoever, not just user stories this time. You need to somebody. I'm thinking at the back of my mind. Somebody needs to pick this thing up. And that thing needs to be independent. When they pick that paper up or that report up, you need to be able to see that, okay, this is what this person is talking about. From start to finish, everything should be within what you're doing. So Gherkin is a plain text language that is written in a specific structure used to write down scenarios and requirements of user stories. So keyword there, plain text language, and it's easily understood, no ambiguity. What's the origin and purpose of Gherkin? Gherkin originated as part of the behavior-driven development methodology. It focuses on describing how a software should behave from the end user's perspective. If you remember, earlier this thing, Uzo mentioned that she said end user. When you're writing your user stories, you are putting yourself in the shoe of the user. You are not just the BA now, you are a user of the software that is about to be developed. Who are you? As a user of the SharePoint website, or as a user, action, what is the action that you want to do? I want to action was so that what is the benefit that you're getting in that particular user journey that you're taking. So remember, Gherkin describes software behavior from the end user's perspective. So when you're writing your user story, and I had someone that asked that question, when you're writing your user story, what will help you is you have it at the back of your mind that is, I think that maybe that's one of the reasons why you're struggling with those other two sentences, because you're trying to figure out, oh, how do I think of this? But when you think of it, when you put yourself in the shoes of the person, the end user of that software, you are able to say, okay, what do I want this person to be able to do? I want the person to be able to click on a home page or click on the logo, for instance. So as a user, you want to click on the logo so that what you want to see when you click on the logo. Do you understand? So that helps you understand or to be able to mold the behavior of the software from the end user's perspective. Behavior-driven development is not limited to agile methodologies. It's commonly used in agile, but is a software development approach that focuses on defining the behavior of the software system from the end user perspective, from the user perspective, ensuring that the software aligns with the business and user expectations. It emphasizes collaboration, clear specifications, and automated testing. So yeah, a BDD is a software that extends the principle of test-driven development, by focusing on the behavior of the software system from the end user perspective. So what is the role of the Gherkin? The Gherkin serves as is a collaborative tool or a collaborative approach that encourages communication between the different stakeholders, the developers, the testers, the non-technical, and the product owners, and the business analysts as well. Is a bridge between all of the stakeholders, is ensuring that there's clarity, and collaborativeness within within the stakeholder community. It ensures clarity of requirements. It's a development process that is driven by defining the desired behavior of the software through scenarios and examples. And these scenarios are explained in plain language, making them accessible to non-technical teams. So let me just quickly go through how the Gherkin is used. So you're on the Azure board. All of you have access to the Azure board. You put your user stories in there. When you're putting your user story, during your sprint environment, blah, 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 you've committed the user stories to Sprint. Now, the developers are going to go and carry that user story from Sprint now. They're going to take it. They need to be able to understand your user story from A to Z. Okay, what is this thing that you're doing? And remember, these people are building something that hasn't previously existed. Let's say it's a new software development project. It has not previously existed. They are building it from scratch. So the only thing that they have to rely on is your user stories, and your acceptance criteria and your wireframe and everything that you put on that in that EBI. So remember that when you're writing this, you need to be able, so you're not only writing from the user's perspective, you are writing from the functional perspective as well. So this is what I want the developer to do when they're actually implementing each of these user stories, if that makes sense, which is why we need to ensure clarity of requirements. Remember when you were doing your sprint planning and some of those user stories, instead of like, oh, we don't understand it. How do you do this? How do you do this? That was why they were throwing those questions to you, because they need to understand what exactly you're trying to achieve with that particular user story. The Gherkin, I've already said, it acts as a bridge between stakeholders and it ensures clarity, clarity of requirements for everybody. So who are the users of the Gherkin? You've got the business analyst, you've got your testers, you've got your stakeholders, you've got your POs. Anybody that has anything to do with that user story or with the software development process is a user of the of Gherkin. So let me just give you an example now. As a business analyst, you guys have written your user stories, you put it on the board. Let me say to you, when the testers, when this user stories when it's going through the board, each of those columns one after the other, and it gets to this testing stage, the testers, I'm not a tester, so I don't know, but the testers, what they do is the Gherkin syntax helps them to be able to do their testing. It helps them to be able to do whatever testing that they're, because it's in that the testers also use the Gherkin within their testing as well. So Yeah, we're all users of the Gherkin syntax. Also, I wanted to say the Gherkin follows a given when then structure that is used for those keywords. When they see those keywords, they understand what it means, and this helps to ensure clarity. So yeah, I mean, the Gherkin is got high adoption, is the perfect framework for writing user stories because it has a consistent approach for reviewing all the scenarios, defining the definition of done, and providing crisp acceptance criteria. I remember Uzo and I were having a discussion, and she said, "Oh, you're trying to get them, their definition of done." So that's another thing that you guys will hear a lot, and that's another thing that you need to talk about and you need to discuss within yourselves as BAs. So it's not just your BA. When you're writing the user story, it's not only you, the BA, that is using the story, it's all of the software development team that is using the story. So you need to bear that in mind. Who is the creator of Gherkin? There's someone called Aslak Helesoy. He's the creator of Gherkin and one of the key figures in popularizing the Gherkin syntax. So yeah, Gherkin is a practical, intuitive language, and it's just designed to help facilitate communication. So relationship between the Gherkin and user stories. So user stories, what are user stories? We all know user stories. We've gone through this the session on user stories. They're high-level feature description from a user's viewpoint. That is key, from a user's viewpoint. So when you have that at the back of your mind, that this is from a user's viewpoint, you understand exactly what you need to do for each of the user stories. The Gherkin and user stories are related, but they are distinct elements in software development process. So like I said, the Gherkin is not the user story. The Gherkin is just an approach that you can use to write your user story. At the end of the day, your user story is your deliverable. So the Gherkin is a language that is used to write structured, human, readable, and executable acceptance criteria. So when the testers are testing, they're able to execute and test it. And when everybody else is reading it, of course, human readable language is not in machine language, it's not in R or Python or all those machine language, is in human readable form. And it's often associated with user stories, but they are not the same thing. Like I said earlier, they are not the same thing. So it needs to understand that the user stories and Gherkin syntax, though closely related, they're not the same thing. Gherkin is a way of writing user stories, like I said. It's a language of writing your acceptance criteria, which defines your user story. So user stories, like I said, what are user stories? A user story is a high-level description of a software feature or requirement from the perspective of the end user. So a user story is a high-level description. So for instance, you're doing your project with SharePoint. So you're saying a user story is a high-level description of the SharePoint requirement from the perspective of Team Agile. Okay, so let's pick Team Agile for instance. Team Agile, you're developing your SharePoint portal. So your user story is your high-level description of the software feature, of what you want to see. Let's put it in plain language now, of what you want to see in your SharePoint portal. It's as simple as that. Because remember, you as Team Agile, you are the one that is, you are the user of the SharePoint portal, aren't you? So this is my SharePoint portal. This is what I want to see. That's it. That's what a user story is that simple. No ambiguity, nothing. It's just what I want to see on my website in plain language. It usually follows a template like as a, I want to, so that. So as a, what is your as a? Remember, whoever asked that question, as a, this is the user. Who is the user of this particular user story? And remember that your user stories are in small independent units. So you are writing user stories for each of the features that you want developed on the SharePoint website. So we're using the SharePoint website for instance. You're writing small independent features. So as a Team Binary SharePoint user or whatever, as a user, what is the action that you want that user story you want that user to do within that particular user story? This is the action. So that what is the benefit of value that the user is getting from that user story? So as a SharePoint user, I want to click on Team Agile SharePoint logo so that I can see Team Agile. I'm just giving you plain language now so that I can see Team Agile's SharePoint website, or I can see the Team Agile SharePoint landing page. Simple, straightforward. Remember, I've already told what is the user story is what you want to be able to do on the website. Simple. Is what you want to see when you go to that website. So I've already said it. I'm a user. I want to click on the logo and I want to see the landing page. That's all I'm doing. So that's what. So don't think about it as something big, something ambiguous, something that you need to think about. And it's not that. It's not that. It's not that deep. It's just simple, straightforward. The action that you want the user to be able to take. You need to identify the user. So this is where you start. Other things feed into your user stories. This is where you start thinking. You first of all, like I said to, I don't even know what team I was having that meeting with, and I said, before you even start to develop your user stories at all, you need to come up with a mind map. So this is my landing page. These are the things I want to see on my landing page. And then, because of these things that I want to see on my landing page, what are the user stories that are going to, feed into those things that I want to see on my landing page? What is the user journey? What are the use cases? What are the, so a lot of things consolidated is what builds your user story. It's not just, of course, the user story is independent, but you need to think, there's so many things that you need to think about before you even begin to write your user stories. There's so many things you need to map out before you begin to write your user stories. Like I said, you do your mind map, you do your use case, you do different, and there's so many things that feed into you. So you need to be aware of that I'm not just writing this user story from thin air. I'm writing it from a series of brainstorming sessions or ideas that I've drawn out or I've mapped out somewhere, and then I'm translating those things into the user stories. Another thing, user story also provides a way to capture and prioritize user needs in simple, non-technical language. So that's what the user story is about. Gherkin, on the other side, it's a language that's specifically designed for writing human readable executable specifications that describes how the software feature should behave. It helps to define the feature behavior. It uses keywords within the Gherkin syntax is given, when, then, and but. Sometimes some people use but. It's arguable. Some people use but, some people use. But let's just focus on given, when, then, and the and. It uses keywords like that to create step-by-step scenarios that define the expected behavior of a feature. So remember your user story, you already said, oh, I'm a SharePoint user. I want to do this, click on the logo so that I can see the landing page. Now, your Gherkin syntax is defining your acceptance criteria. It's giving more detail. It's giving more beef. It's beefing your user story up. So you are still describing the high-level description of the user story that you've written. So that's what the Gherkin is doing, and that's what your acceptance criteria is doing. So the Gherkin scenario is used, like I said, to document the acceptance criteria for a user story, ensuring that the feature is implemented correctly. So it's breaking it down and telling them exactly what the feature needs to do. The relationship between the Gherkin and the user stories is often used to define Gherkin is often used to define the acceptance criteria for the user stories. And acceptance criteria are specific conditions that must be met for the user story to be considered complete and done. For your user story to meet the definition of done, your acceptance criteria, all of the conditions within your acceptance criteria must be fulfilled before your user story is able to be considered as done. The criteria helps, this criteria that within your acceptance criteria that you have used Gherkin syntax to write, it helps the development team to understand what needs to be implemented, and it serves as a basis for testing. So while Gherkin is not a way of writing a user story, it's a way of defining the specific conditions under which a user story is considered complete. The user story set the context and motivation, while the Gherkin provides detailed scenarios, testable specification to ensure that the user story is complete. So hope we all understand that. So what are the key features of user story? Of the Gherkin syntax? Is usually in a structured format. We've seen that earlier. Is the specification are organized into feature files that contain descriptions of features or functionalities. It consists of scenarios that outline how the software should behave under specific conditions. So keywords in Gherkin. Gherkin uses specific keywords to define intent of each scenario. They're commonly used for the feature. This describes like your high-level functionality. The scenario describes the scenario that within the feature. Then given, in fact, I will get into that in more detail now. Given describes the initial context. So we're talking about Gherkin syntax now. Remember, we've left user story. We understand user story as a I want to, so that I want to is your action, so that is your benefit, as a is the user. So we've left that. Now we've come to the acceptance criteria, which is the Gherkin syntax. So that's what we're talking about now, the commonly used words within the Gherkin syntax. So given describes the initial context or the precondition. When describes the action or the event that triggers the behavior. Then describes the expected result, and is the additional information or more details that we want to provide. Now, the Gherkin is human readable, easily understood by the development team, even easily understood by people that don't have deep technical knowledge. So it encourages clear, concise language. There is no story. You've written it there. They don't have to come and tell you, oh, I don't understand this. Everybody understands it. Everybody understands the Gherkin. Everybody is familiar with the Gherkin, and everybody understands what that user story is to do and the features that they need to develop within the development team. User story is executable. So for testers, automation testers, it can be associated with automation code. So the testers can use this to do their testing and automation, and it allows each of these scenarios to be executed as tests. Sorry. This automated tests help ensure that the software behaves as specified within each of those Gherkin descriptions. Gherkin promotes collaboration. I've said this a number of times earlier. It promotes collaboration among the POs, the business analysts, the developers, the testers, everybody, providing a common language for discussing the requirements and documenting the requirements. It enables the team also, documentation is key. It enables the team to create a living documentation that remains up to date with the software behavior, encouraging shared understanding of requirements and helping to verify that the software meets those requirements through automated testing. So what are the benefits of Gherkin? Can somebody give me, and from all that I've said now, can somebody give me one benefit of the Gherkin, please? Because I think I mentioned quite a number as we've gone on, but can somebody give me one benefit of Gherkin, please? You can just unmute and speak. Just so that I'm aware. Can you guys hear me?
Hello.
Okay.
It's clear and precise.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's fantastic. So, benefits of Gherkin. What's wrong with my slides? It's not working. Team collaboration. I've said that. Shared understanding, team collaboration, common language that promotes shared understanding between all stakeholders. The Gherkin has consistent language. Remember, structured keywords, giving, when, then, and everybody, once you see those words, you know exactly what they're talking about. Uniform terminology. The Gherkin scenario helps enforce consistent, agreed upon terminology for discussing the system behavior. It helps to reduce misunderstanding and ensure that everybody is on the same page. Another benefit is it serves as a basis of automation for the software testers. And then it can be, within that, it can be reused across, it can be reused for automation testing across different test cases. And another benefit of Gherkin is it provides you with a clear acceptance criteria. Clear acceptance criteria. The Gherkin structure, it provides the acceptance criteria in a way that is clear and systematic. Each step describes a specific outcome, making it evident that what the software should do under various conditions. Also, it helps with ambiguity. By following the Gherkin syntax, acceptance criteria becomes less ambiguous, and it also serves as a source of documentation. So, in summary, Gherkin is a valuable tool for improving team collaboration, establishing a consistent language for discussing requirements, providing a basis for automation, and defining clear acceptance criteria. When you use the Gherkin effectively, it can lead to a more efficient and effective software development process, resulting in high quality software products. I'm sure as you guys carry on in your with the project, and when you go on to the next project, and you become more familiar with the Gherkin, you become more familiar with your user stories, and you just realize that, this thing is even this simple. I didn't realize it was this simple. And by the time you go to sprint planning, you probably notice that they're not asking me as much questions as they were asking when I wrote my first user story. So just make note of this, watch this video as many times as you can, and you'll be able to pick it up quite easily. So that is the benefit of Gherkin. So before we get into the keyword driven format of the Gherkin, is there well, let me not ask questions, because if I throw questions out, I know everybody will ask the question. But can somebody just tell me, from all that I've said so far, can somebody just tell me, when you think of the user story that you have written this sprint, and you think of all the things that I've just said now, can you, how do you see that this can you see how this session will improve your user story next time? Does that make any sense to you guys? Can you see the benefit? Okay, can you tell me one benefit from what I've said so far? Can somebody tell me one thing that they benefited so far from all I've said on this session, please? Just unmute and speak, if that's okay. Hello? Oh, there's no benefit. So we can go over and sleep. We can go to bed now also. So you guys have not
Hello?
gotten any benefit from what I'm saying in money. No, you guys haven't gotten any benefits. Not one. You can't see how this will improve your user story for the next sprint. Just one thing one benefit, one thing that you've seen that this has helped you, that this will
Hello?
help you with you. Sorry, so yeah, are you saying something? Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I didn't raise my hand up. Yes. What I learned from this is that, excuse me, based on what you said, there's a structured approach to writing to write the user story, excuse me,
Yes.
and acceptance criteria. So if you follow this systematic approach, it helps you to understand like what the user wants, what you intend to get from probably the software, or maybe when you open a website, what you want to do and what you intend to get. So if you follow the approach, it will help you to put out the user story and the acceptance criteria in a simple term, because the user is there, then as to what you want and the reason behind what you want. Also, when you look at the other side, when you're writing the acceptance criteria, given when then it gives you that, okay, considering that these requirements are met, then these are what should be the outcome. That's what.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Thank you. At least if one person is listening, that's good enough for me. So yeah, let's carry on, guys. So keywords driven
His
format
hand
in
is
Gherkin.
up. Somebody's hand is up.
Oh, sorry, I can't see. Sorry, I can't. Let me.
Okay, good evening. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah. The one thing I benefit is that it helps us to structure our user stories and our certain criteria in a simple format, or rather a simple way that any person that picks it up is able to understand what you are saying. Yeah.
Okay, yes, that's fantastic. Thank you so very much. Gladys, I'm so sorry. I'm just saying that you said that maybe I've talked very fast. That is one of my issues, one of my weaknesses. I talk very fast. I will try to slow down. I'm so sorry. I apologize for that, but I will try to slow down.
Another hand is up.
Yeah, Felicia, please.
Felicia.
Okay. With the way you have spoken about the mind map, it helps in developing the user story, to making it to be able to use those three statements easily when you have a mental picture of what you want. Maybe, for example, the landing page, you know how you want it to be. You'll be able to now relate with it as all those three keywords are the Gherkin syntax. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That is, I'm talking slowly now. Can you hear me? It's just because, well, you guys were supposed to do 8 to 9, but I need to chop into 30 minutes of your time. Is that okay? But is this okay? Is my pace okay? Felicia, do you have your hands up again, or is that legacy?
I think it's legacy.
All right, thank you. All right, so
I
let's
guess the
get
pace
it.
is okay.
I'll try to be as slow as possible. I'm sorry. So let's get into it. So keyword-driven format in the Gherkin, like I said, is a plain language. So what is the feature? The feature describes the feature keyword is used to introduce a feature or functionality that you want to describe. It provides a high-level description of the feature that you're testing. So you think of this feature as like your, when you're on your Azure board and you want to write like the title of your PBI or something. Yeah, think of this feature. So this is where this feature comes in. Think of this feature as, okay, SharePoint logo or team logo or something like that. So that's your feature. So it helps you to describe the high-level description of a feature that you want to implement or you want to test. So that's what the feature is. The next one is the scenario. So what is the scenario that you want to play out? The scenario is used to define specific test scenario or test cases representing a particular set of conditions and outcomes that need to be met. So yeah, specific instances and scenarios within the feature. Now, given. Now, this is where I need you guys to pay close attention, please, if that's okay. So, given. Remember, within your acceptance criteria, this is what you start with. Given. What is the given? The given keyword relates or is used to describe the initial context or the precondition or setup for the scenario. It sets the initial stage, defining the preconditions for that thing to work. Like, for instance, now, okay, we have that SharePoint example here, and we're saying as a SharePoint user, I want to click on the logo so that I can view the landing page and all that. But remember, what is the key thing? What is the first thing that the person needs to do to even get to the SharePoint? I mean, you cannot just, for instance, now I cannot just be on, let's say I'm on Nextdoor, I'm on a shopping website. If I click on the logo of the shopping website, it won't take me to the SharePoint with it. So it needs to define the precondition. You need to be in there's certain conditions that need to be met before you are able to even action your feature. So given is a precondition, which is when you say, oh, you're giving, I am on the SharePoint landing page, or giving, I am on the SharePoint website. You need to be in a particular place before you are able to, you need to be able to be in a particular place before you fulfill the preconditions of that feature. When is used to describe your action. So remember, within the user story, as a user, I want to is the action, so that is the benefit. Within the Gherkin syntax now, your when is your action word. So your when is related. So these things are actually related. So you look at your user stories. I want to, that second line is the one that is describing your action. So when you're writing your Gherkin syntax, when you come to your acceptance criteria, you're writing your Gherkin syntax, your when describes the action that should occur, and that action should sync with your action, with your I want to within your user story. Does that make sense? I mean, if it doesn't make sense, just make a note of your the question. I will take it after. But your when is syncing, and then you're giving as well in syncing with your as a user. That's your precondition. That's kind of like like your precondition as well. So each of those lines are related. You know, remember within accepted, you have given, when, then. Those are three. Given is your precondition, when is your action, then is your result. So you can kind of like in your mind now, you can kind of like start drawing linking arrows to them. You are linking your as a to your given, so that you are leaving your so that I to your when, which is your action. So that I is your action, when is your action. So you are syncing those two together. It doesn't have to be necessarily the same sentence or everything, because remember, when you're writing your Gherkin, you might need to describe more details. So as long as all of those details that are within your when is linked to your I want to, then you are fine. So that I can is your action. So that brings us to the then. This is describes the expected outcome or the result. And you've already written your outcome or the result in your user story. Remember, your user story is high level. Now you are breaking each of those lines within your user story. You are breaking it down. But how are you breaking it down? You are breaking it down using this keyword, using the given, the when, the then, using the given to describe your precondition, using the when to describe your action, using the then to describe your results. I hope that makes sense. Your when represents the specific action that is being performed, and your then is used to specify the outcome or result after the action has taken place. So your then is kind of like your last bus stop. It represents the expected end state of the scenario, if that makes any sense. So yeah, and you have and. What does and do? And is your, what's wrong with my slide? And is additional steps that provide more detail within each of those sections that you have above. So you're given let's say you have giving I'm on the SharePoint website, rather than having one or two lines. Sometimes in some user stories, you might say, oh, given I'm on the SharePoint website and I am on the landing page when I click on something. So giving is still your giving you're on the SharePoint website and you're on the landing page. Those are two preconditions. But rather than using giving I'm on the landing page, giving the same time, you just say giving I'm on the land, I'm a SharePoint user and I am on the landing page. So it's still describing that, and it's still describing the giving. We'll see an example in the next few slides. Now we'll see an example. But remember, anytime you want to add an additional line or an additional precondition to each of these keywords above, which is the giving, when, then, you use an and. So that's what and is used to create additional steps within the scenario. To create additional steps within the scenario. So yeah, approaches to writing Gherkin. So there are two different approaches to writing Gherkin scenarios. There's the imperative and there's the declarative. Imperative is more specific. It gives you like step by step, focusing on describing the step by step. For people that like detail, imperative is fantastic for you. It specifies the exact sequence of actions that the user should perform. So step-by-step action used to provide detailed instruction about the functionality, and imperative focusing on how I'm a SharePoint user. I'm on the landing page. So you want to describe the journey from, especially people like me, sometimes when I'm talking to my friend or when I'm talking back, when my for instance, now my husband is giving me gist, I'm like, give me the detail now. You just say, oh, this thing happened. I'm like, no, give me the detail. So before it happened, what happened? Okay, so you went to the house, I like details. People like that, like people like me, or people that like gist like me, we like details. We like the full details so that we understand the cocoa that is inside the gist. But some people just want to go straight to the gist. What happened? Oh, okay. Something happened in their house, blah, 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 blah. I don't want something happen. I want the full detail. How did you get to their house? Were you walking on the road? Were you driving? So when you were driving, did you see anything on the road? Did you branch a shop before you went to their house? You want all the full details. So that's the difference between imperative and declarative. Imperative is step by step, is focusing on the how. Declarative, on the other hand, is focuses on describing the desired outcome without specifying the exact steps, and it allows for more high-level description of what should happen. So imperative, focusing on step-by-step action, specifies the exact sequence of action that the user should perform. When do you use your imperative Gherkin? Is used when you want to provide explicit, detailed instruction about how a feature should work. Is useful when you need to specify the exact steps that the tester or the developer or whoever is using the test, the Gherkin syntax or user story should follow. When you want exact, you don't want any ambiguity. This is what I want you to do. Do not deviate from this step. So focusing on the how. Declarative, on the other hand, focuses on describing the desired outcome without specifying the exact steps to achieve it. It allows for more high level of what should happen. So when do you use declarative? It's used when you want to emphasize the results of a feature rather than specific actions or specific interactions that are needed to achieve that result. It's useful for scenarios where the how is not important, but the what. So declarative focuses on the what. Okay, like the gist example I was giving now. Oh, this happened in the house, blah, 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 end of story. You finish gist. But how is the gist sweet when you have not given me the pepper and the tomato and the salt and the maggi that is inside? Do you guys understand? So it's kind of like for declarative people that don't have time. And there's no way that is wrong. There's no way that is wrong. Imperative example, each step is explicitly defined, outlining the exact action that the user should take. So for instance, when I'm on the landing page and I click on the logo and I do this one, you are saying exactly what you want to use step by step, focusing on what the user actions. But in contrast, the imperative example focuses on the end result. Given I'm on the landing page, I click on this one straight to the point. They don't have time for nonsense. It's not detailing the specific actions that required to achieve it. The choice is yours between imperative and declarative. It's exactly the same thing. It's still the same format as giving, when, then. It's the same format as I want to so that, and you're giving, when. It's the same format. You can now choose whether you prefer imperative or you prefer declarative. It depends on the level of detail and abstraction needed for each of those particular scenarios. Imperative is more suitable when you want to provide clear step-by-step instruction, while declarative are better when you want to emphasize the overall behavior or the results. So that's the difference between declarative and imperative. Okay, what's wrong with my computer? Okay. So declarative, what's the importance of using imperative and declarative Gherkin? So these are both BDD languages that have their own importance. So what's for imperative, for instance, what is the importance and what's the benefit? So for imperative, what's wrong with my computer? Okay. So for imperative, you have control and flexibility. Imperative allows for more detailed, fine-grained control over the test implementation. It's valuable when detailing each of those dynamic scenarios that may not easily be described in a declarative manner. Imperative can be reused, reusability. It can be reused at multiple scenarios or even different projects. It promotes efficient, test cases and minimizes redundancy. And then imperative is important. It's also used to tightly integrate Gherkin scenarios with actual test codes. So these are for testers. And it allows for seamless navigation between high-level specification and low-level tests. On the other hand, declarative Gherkin focuses on describing the expected behavior. So clarity and readability, straight to the point of each scenario, making them accessible to non-tech stakeholder. Also declarative, it's the two that have like they're both documentation. So the two benefits, importance of both imperative and declarative. It gives you live documentation and it also enhances collaboration. So like I said before, the choice between declarative depends on the specific needs of your project, the complexity of the scenario, and your team's preference. At the end of the day, it still boils down to your team and what they prefer and your team's preference. In many cases, the combination of both styles are used so that you can strike a balance, choosing the most appropriate approach for different scenarios or part of the system. The overarching goal is to effectively use Gherkin scenarios to encourage clarity, collaboration, and deliver high-quality software at the end of the day. So that's it. I don't know what's on my computer. So example, this is just a screenshot of the user stories written in Gherkin syntax by one of the teams that I know. So this is just an example of, I'm sure you're all familiar with this look, the Azure board, your user stories, your description, acceptance criteria, and all of that. So we'll be looking at this in detail in the next minute. So closer look at the imperative detail, Gherkin. So now I've taken an example from your SharePoint imperative. Let's take a closer look. The Gherkin scenario provided here is written in the imperative style. It focuses on step-by-step action that the user must take to achieve the desired outcome and includes specifics about navigation and interaction. So now, okay, epic feature. I'm just giving you PBI. What's wrong with this thing? So now, description. Remember, just like you have on your Adobe. I've just used the team because I know we have two teams tonight, so I've decided to use two teams. So as a, let's say, binary team member, or as a user of SharePoint, it's just an example that I'm using here. I want to add a team logo. So this is looking at the perspective of whoever is adding the team logo to our SharePoint page. So I want to, as the user, I want to the action so that the team page can have its own unique and professional identity. What's my acceptance criteria? This is my scenario. Given I am on the team SharePoint page, when I navigate to the page setting and I select the option to upload the team logo and I upload the team logo image, then the team logo should be displayed on the SharePoint website. And the logo should be visible to all team members and visitors. Remember, this is a user story. So can anybody tell me this giving now? Can anybody tell me what this giving is doing here? Oh, you guys cannot see my mouse. Sorry. Can anybody tell me what this giving is doing here? This giving. What did I say this giving was previously on our previous slide? What's this giving? What is it describing?
The action.
What is
describing the team member or describing the user?
Precondition.
The action.
So remember, given is the precondition. Given
Oh,
is the
precondition, yeah.
yes, not the action. So given is the precondition. When is the action? Then
It's the result.
is the result.
Is the result.
Exactly. So I put another scenario here, verifying, let's say you're verifying team logo size and format. Given I have a team logo image file, when I upload the team logo to the SharePoint, then the logo should be in one of the allowed formats, and the logo should not exceed 2 megabytes, and the logo should have dimensions that is 150 by 150 pixels, but not exceed 500 by 500. So that's another example of again. Why is this imperative? Because this is focusing on the how and not the what. So now we're going to look at the declarative and how it's focusing and the Gherkin Wiki and declarative. Remember, see this one now. It's the same, it's exactly the same user story, same feature, the same everything. It's the same description as I want to. But if you look at the scenarios under each of these ones is not as much and it's not as descriptive as the previous one. So giving them a team member with permission, so I can see giving them with permission to update the SharePoint page. Oh no, what's wrong with my computer? With permission to update the SharePoint page when I upload the team logo image. Then the team should be displayed and the logo should be visible. So this one is a declarative. But remember, this one, which is the imperative, I said, given when I navigate and when I navigate to the team page and I select and I upload the team, but this one is quite simple, straight and direct to the, it doesn't have time for nonsense. When I upload the team, then it should be displayed and it should be visible. End of story. I don't have time. You're telling them that please don't disturb me. Do you get? And look at the team logo and size requirements. Given I am on the logo image file, I have the logo image file. When I upload the team logo, then the logo should be in and it should not exceed. And so this is quite straightforward to the point. The focus is on the end result rather than the specific interactions that need to get there. You know, hope that makes sense. So what are the best practices within Gherkin? So best practices for using Gherkin syntax in business analysis ensures clarity, maintainability, and effective communication of requirements between the business analyst, developer, and the testers and the project team generally. Some of the recommendations for using the Gherkin syntax within your acceptance criteria start with given, followed by when and then. You know, if you follow these best practices, you can leverage the Gherkin effectively to document and communicate your user stories and requirements, understanding the behavior of the software. So begin each scenario with given. Begin each scenario with given within your user story and your user story acceptance criteria. So begin each of those scenarios with given. This given sets up the precondition, sets up the initial context, followed by when to describe the user's action or the events that are being tested, and end it with then to specify the outcome. That's one of the best practices. Next is use and but. But is arguable, but use and but use it sparingly. You know, and but should be used to add additional context or variation to step. Avoid excessive use though, as it can make the scenarios quite hard to follow. Then you need to stay consistent as well. Maintain a consistent terminology and style throughout your user story and your acceptance criteria. Consistency is crucial for readability and understandability. Sorry. Keep it readable. Gherkin is designed to be human readable. That's one key word that I need to, one key takeaway from tonight. It's designed to be human readable. Avoid overloading the steps with technical detail. And I remember I was also saying that earlier on the call as well. You know, make it as simple as possible. Focus on what the user sees and experiences, not on the technical detail. Just focus on what the user sees and experience. And another best practice is to use business language. Write the scenarios or write the acceptance criteria in languages that the business stakeholders can understand. Avoid using technical jargon, technical terms that are confusing to non-technical team member. Then for your title to use descriptive feature names for your title on the user stories in the PBI. Use descriptive feature names and write feature names should be descriptive, concise, and representing a clear aspect of the system's functionality. Avoid using technical jargon. And write clear and specific scenarios. Scenarios should be specific, concise, focusing on one aspect of a feature. Use concrete examples to illustrate expected behavior. So yeah, these are the a few best practices to adhere to when you're writing your Gherkin. So now is the fun part. Knowledge test. What did I even put here? I don't even remember. So now I want you guys to, so this is the PBI that we're writing now. We're writing team name on the header of the SharePoint, team name on the header of the SharePoint page. So let's write this together. That's one of the knowledge. We're writing this together. So now for people that cannot note and talk, can you guys do drop a chat? You can drop a chat if it's okay. So this is the scenario that I'm trying to display here. Team name is displayed correctly on the header. We are all doing the SharePoint, and I'd imagine that this is one of the requirements for Sprint 1, and I'd imagine that all of you are getting this user story, haven't you? So scenario 1, team name is displayed correctly on the header. Scenario 2, team name persists after the page refresh. Please write these Gherkin steps for each of these scenarios above. So yes, let me start seeing the chat room loading up, please. Can you write me this? Leave the description. I don't need the description. I don't need the just give me the giving when then, if that's okay. Just give me the giving when then. I can't see the chat room. I cannot see the chat room button up. Can I see your Gherkin steps, please, for this scenario that I've provided? Hi, coming soon. Okay, thank you. Coming soon. Can I see, please? Before I go to the answer. Coming soon. Tell me, your hands up. Yeah. Did you want to say something?
So that
Tell me,
that's an error, sorry.
Okay. Did you guys think I was going to let you guys off the hook easy? Because you guys have been quiet. I've been talking to more. Nobody even said one. So now it's payback time.
We were listening with rapt attention.
Okay. Payback time now. Yeah, and I don't have music. I've been playing music for you guys while you're doing this. Yes, let's try. Even if it's a few fastest fingers. Maybe we should start giving prizes out at this session so that you guys will be encouraged to participate.
Okay.
I can see some people are muted. You want to say something, Gladys? Do you have a question, Gladys? Okay.
No, sorry.
So can I have the steps? It doesn't have to be, out of this. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just first thing that comes to mind, please. And then if you want to write your description too, you can feel free to do so. But my focus will be on the Gherkin. Focus will be on the Gherkin. Okay, I'm waiting, guys. I don't see those. Okay. Thank you for, Patricia. Okay. Thank you, Patricia, for that. Patricia. So Patricia said, given I am logged into the SharePoint, when I navigate to the header, remember, what did I say when was? When I navigate to the header, then I should see the team's name.
When is it?
The team's name should be displayed correctly and the team's name should persist after page refresh. Okay, good attempt. Solution, given I'm on the SharePoint, when I view the header section, then I see the team name displayed correctly. Yeah, fair enough. Good try, good try. Keep it coming, guys. Keep it coming. Is there anybody else, or do you want me to go on to the next thing?
Yes.
I'm sure most of you are saying, please go on, please go. I don't want to write anything, Abi. Well done, Rose. Given I'm a user on the show, when I log on to the URL and I view the landing page, then I should be able to view the team name displayed. Okay, there's still something I'm looking for that I'm not seeing, but yeah, okay, good attempt, guys. So this is the answer.
Can I say mine? Can I say?
Okay, yeah, please. Yes, you can say, you can read it out if you
Given
want to.
that, okay, all right. So given that I am on the SharePoint page, when I navigate to the header, then I should see the team name displayed correctly.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, team SharePoint page, header. Remember, there's one thing that you guys are missing that I haven't seen.
Pardon?
Yeah, hello? Who's that, please? Someone say me something.
Yes, please.
Okay, yeah, go on. What were you saying, please?
I thought you were talking to me.
Oh, no. I'm not. I'm just carrying on with the presentation. Sorry, no. No, I'm not talking to you. Given I'm so I see another one from Remy. Given I'm on the team SharePoint page, when I log into the SharePoint and I click on upload document and I upload the team logo, then I should be displayed. Yes, team logo. Thank you for that, Remy. But what we're asking for is what we're looking at for this one is name and the name. So that's it. That's the knowledge test.
Sorry.
Yeah, not logo. But
Sorry,
that's
I
fine.
thought I read logo.
No. It's
Maybe
name.
my
Can
eyes
you
is
see the
closing.
Maybe it's by time to go to bed. Let me quickly finish this thing first and I can let you guys go. So now, remember, as a team member, I want the team's name to be displayed on the header. Remember, you are writing from, so who is the user in this? Okay, let me ask this question. In this scenario, who is the user? Yeah, the user is the team member, yeah? You want to see, the user should be able to see the team member. But remember that you're also writing this for the development team. They are the ones, the SharePoint page does not exist. Because I see all of you are saying, oh, when I log onto the SharePoint page and I click on it, when I'm on the SharePoint, then I should see the team name. But how would you see the team name if you have not put the team name there in the first place? Remember, when I view the team, then I should see it. Yes, you are going to eventually see the team name displayed properly on the header. But you need to do something for you to be able to see that team name. And that thing that you're doing is your user story that you're writing so that the developer can develop it, if it makes any sense. So I want the team name displayed on the header so that visitors can easily identify the team associated with this SharePoint page. So this is just a one of example. Scenario, team name is displayed correctly on the header. Given I am a team member or the developer, whoever it is, with permission to update the SharePoint page, when I set the team's name in the page settings, remember, nothing exists. There's a blank, there's nothing there at all. It's a fresh, or maybe you even want to change the team's name, for instance. And I click on, when I set the team's name in the page settings, then the team's name should be displayed on the header of the SharePoint page. You can see this is giving clear instruction, because if I look at your Gherkin style that you guys are written, given I am a member of the SharePoint, when I click on the header and the page is displayed and I click on team name, but there's no team name, you have not created the team name yet. And I should see the team name correctly. You cannot see the team name correctly because you are not even created. So this is creating the team name itself. This is a user story to create the team name itself, to create something from scratch that was non-existent before. And the team names should be visible to all and sundry, all team members and visitors. So that's your answer right there. You can see that with this one, the developer can take this user story and take it. Okay, I go onto my website, they have permission. The developers have, or whoever, the SMs, they have permission on the team. They go to the settings where they want to change the team name. on the header, they go onto the header, they put the team name. Once they change it, it should be visible to all of them. And remember, if you're writing this user story, this is just an example. If you're writing this user story, you need to put all of your additional information, what you want the team name to be. Let's say you want it to be called Team Agile SharePoint. You need to put that in there as your additional SharePoint. Please make sure the team name reads Team Agile SharePoint website and all of that. So remember your additional information, as much information as possible within each user story. The next scenario is team name persists after page refresh. Given the team name is set in page setting, when I refresh the SharePoint page, then the team name should be displayed on the header. Can somebody give me an example? So what? Yes, Felicia. So what style of Gherkin is this one? Is this one that I'm displaying on the page at the moment? What style is this? Can somebody give me that answer, please? Patricia, Felicia. Okay, Felicia, you go first. I think your hands came up first.
No, it must be a legacy, but this is imperative.
Declarative.
Oh, declarative. Sorry, declarative.
Declarative. Thank you, Patricia. You have your hands up. Do you have a question?
To the first scenario.
Sorry, I didn't get that. Sorry.
I don't know if you could go back to the first scenario, the one about the yes. So from understanding of user stories and acceptance criteria, we want the team's name to be displayed on the header, right? And probably we do not have access to the SharePoint. It's the SMs that will do everything and the business development people. I just need to tell them that this is what I want. My own idea was when I tell them in my user story, they will be the one to go and put my team's name there.
Yes, they are the ones that are going to put your team name there. Yes,
what the part about when I set the team name in the page settings, it seems like I'm the one doing it.
No, that's you see perspective. You are not so as this team member is not you. You are not the one. You are not referring. You are referring to the user. So in this case, the user is the who is the one developing your. Who is the one developing your SMs? In this case, you are talking to the SM. So as the SM, you are the BA, but you are the SM. This is what you want to go and do on your SharePoint website. So you are telling the SM that, you know what, you are not writing it from the perspective of you are the BA. You are not saying that I am the BA, I want to. This is not you. It has nothing to do with you. The only thing it has to do is from the user's perspective. So this is you, and in this case, who is the user? Your SM. Does that help?
Are we saying that when we're writing acceptance criteria, since it's the SMs and that will be developing them, we should be writing it from their point of view?
You should be, yes, but it also depends on the user story that you're writing. So let's say for login, if it's a login user story, for instance, given I'm a user on the login. So if it's login, you're writing it from the user perspective because it's not backend. So the SharePoint is quite unique. But when you get to your next project, you see this in play more. So if it's login, for instance, it's a user that will go to login, click on the page, go to login, put username, put password, and all of that. So if it's a login example, for instance, given I am a user, when I click on this one and I put my username and my password, it should log in. But the SharePoint project is quite unique, which is why we're having this. But when you come to the other project, you'll be able to see this more clearly, if that helps. But you are writing this because you are developing you're developing your SharePoint page from the SM's perspective. So you are writing it for the SharePoint. This doesn't have anything. When you remember that you're not the one setting the team names in the page setting. Whoever is the one that's developing the SharePoint page is the one setting it in the team page and same setting, not you. These are the things that they need to be able to see when they are creating that journey on SharePoint. These are the things that you want them to see. So you are creating it for them from their own perspective. If that makes any sense.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So the acceptance criteria, my end user is the SMs, not the final customer.
Well, who is the final? So let me ask you this question: who is the final customer in this your SharePoint?
Okay, the SMs. Like I'm saying on a practical project, not just this one.
Yeah. Who is the final? No, in this particular case now, can you tell me who the final customer?
The SMs.
Who the user is? But at the end of the day, it's not just the SMs; it's the whole team, isn't it?
Yes.
So by the time you implement this, everybody that goes on the SharePoint page can see the team name that this is Team Agile, this is Team Binary. But this is from the perspective of the SM creating the team page. in the first place. The reason why I use the SharePoint is because that's what you guys are using now. Maybe I should have, maybe I'm thinking, maybe I should have used maybe logos or maybe like a different one that'll make it quite explanatory to you guys. But because this team, let's say when you get to, I'm sure when you get to even Spring 2 that you begin to populate resources onto your SharePoint page, you'll be able to see that clearer. So given I am a, let's say you want to create your general folder, and I'll give them a B when I log into when I'm on the SharePoint website and I click on document library, then I should be able to see a folder called business analysis folder.
Thank you.
No worries. Who is this?
Sorry, Felicia, is that a legacy, Anne?
So
Okay.
now let's go to questions. In the Gherkin syntax, the keyword given is used to describe what or to establish what. Who can answer that for me, please? So what is given used to establish? Remember, I've said this
Precondition.
The what? Sorry, say that again, please.
Precondition.
Precondition, fantastic. It's used to describe the precondition or context, fantastic. Next, in and is used for what? What's and used for?
Additional information.
Fantastic, thank you very much. More details. And what's the difference between the Gherkin and the user story?
The Gherkin is what made the user story.
Sorry, I didn't catch that, please.
The Gherkin is used is a kind of a pattern that is used to write the user story.
Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, or let's say the Gherkin is the tooling using to write user story, isn't it?
Or we can say it's a condition for satisfaction.
Yeah.
Or it validates the user stories.
That's right.
So remember, the Gherkin is a language that is used to write your acceptance criteria.
Yeah.
User story is high level description of your requirements.
It defines the user story.
Yes. So remember, who was asking that question, Patricia? In that particular scenario, who is the end user of that shape of the team page? Is your SM, is your team, is the whole of. So is the end, remember, your end user's perspective. And in this case now, so yeah, user story is high level description from end user's perspective, while Gherkin is in language for your acceptance criteria that defines your user story. So honestly, in summary, Gherkin is a powerful tool for capturing and communicating your software requirements. To maximize its effectiveness, it's essential that you follow best practice. Remember those best practices that I shared with you guys earlier. You need to follow best practice and avoid common mistakes. Because obviously Gherkin captures and communicates requirements. It helps you to have a structured format of writing your user stories. It enhances collaboration. It also helps testers with their automation testing and all of that. So while you're writing your Gherkin, follow best practice, please, as much as possible, and avoid common mistakes so that you can enhance its effectiveness. Be clear when you're writing your scenarios. Make sure they are clear, unambiguous. Avoid jargon. Avoid vague languages. You can reuse your, for instance, now if you're writing a header user story and you want to write another user story on top of that, you can reuse your Gherkin as much as possible to minimize ensuring consistency. And then also maintain a consistent and agreed upon terminology to prevent misunderstanding. Then make sure that you're concise. Focus on a single piece of behavior at a time. Focus on a single piece rather than modeling it all up. The Azure board is as broad as you want it to. You can write 1 million user stories there, you will not finish. Just make sure that you're concise and focus on a single behavior at every particular point. And then make sure that you're continuously reviewing your scenarios as the project evolves. And it also serves as, like I said, living documentation for your user story and your acceptance criteria. Sorry. Gherkin is a valuable asset for requirement gathering and communication. But to make the most of it, it's crucial to adopt best practices, maintain clear and concise language, and to encourage sorry, somebody's messaging me. to encourage collaboration among team members. By doing so, you can effectively enhance the software development process and improve the quality of the end product. So, that brings us to the end of the presentation. And I hope you guys have a number of questions. I'll take your questions now if you have any.
Can I stop the recording now?
Yeah, yes, you can. Thank you.